Hi, everybody. This is Adam Elenbaas from Nightlight Astrology, and these are February's horoscopes for 2019. So this is the Sun and Rising Sign horoscope for Cancer. All right, let's put your chart up on the screen so you can see it, and we'll get rolling. All right, so the beginning of the month is packed. Big transit from the planet Mars in the sign of Aries to Pluto in Capricorn. Now, this perfects on February 2nd and connects two houses in your chart, the 10th and the 7th, the place of career and the place of relationships. So Mars and Pluto, intense. You have the god of war and the god of the underworld, right? So the potential for confrontation, catharsis, conflict, hostility, depth and intensity is definitely on the table at the start of the month. And the emphasis on your career right now, as well as the area of relationships, could bring a number of different scenarios together. One, you could see in terms of business relationships, you could see serious conflicts or contentions in different kinds of business relationships. You could see troubles between the work and relationship balance. If you're trying to work less and spend more time with a loved one, this is the kind of moment where you could get in a fight about it. Pretty easily. Contentions could rise between yourself and a lover or a loved one, and it could somehow involve things that are happening in the workplace. Simultaneously, you may be ready to make some really big changes in your life, and it may affect your relationship, or relationship choices may be affecting professional choices. So the two areas of life are entwined with one another. And with Mars and Pluto, it's going to be confrontational. So Mars likes to penetrate, divide, sever, cut, and Pluto it tends to be very explosive. So it's sort of volcanic. You put those two things together and you have a dynamic stress, tension, and kind of an explosive moment at the beginning of the month. So you may be feeling that especially in the area of career and relationships simultaneously. So those two things are, got to watch for those two things at the very start of the month. Now, if you go forward a little bit, first of all, again, you could even look, for example, at Venus and Chiron making a square on February 3rd. I'm not going to go so much into that, but Venus Chiron is also suggestive around the 2nd and 3rd of February of the potential for, themes of healing in love and relationships. You go into February 4th and you have a new moon in Aquarius in your 8th house. That might mean that there is going to be an emphasis in the lunar cycle ahead on your spouse or partner's money or finances or financial matters in a relationship. So it could be putting all the pieces together that some of the conflict or tension has to do with work and financial matters in a relationship. Now, the other possibility for the 8th house is the 8th house is typically related to endings, things that there's a natural expiration date that's been reached. So it's not a fun house. It's related to death, for example. But a new moon in that house could mean that something new is coming into your life specifically because it's time to let something go or something has reached its natural expiration date. So think about, powerful endings this month in the 8th house, or facing fear or anxiety. The subject of death and mortality can be a big deal this month. As well as, again, anything related to finances in a relationship. So that happens on February 4th. So you can see that 2nd, 3rd, 4th, it's packed. It's a busy time. And then moving forward a little bit, go to February 12th into the 13th, and you have Mars in your career house now getting into a conjunction with Uranus. This is a very assertive moment in the month. Mars is, basically the planet of action and assertion and will and competition and combat, and it's conjoining with the planet of rebellion, defiance, originality, innovation in the career house. So potentially a very kind of combustible, fiery moment in your professional house again by February 12th and 13th. So these themes are repeating. You want to be careful about burning bridges or overpowering people or, bullies and that kind of stuff. In general, sort of, I'm telling you, everyone sort of lay low this month because it's a very intense kind of explosive dynamic with Mars triggering both Pluto and Uranus, and Uranus being in its culminating anaretic degree, the final degree of Aries, which is very powerful, and you'll see it in the collective. It'll be has the potential to be a very volatile month. Now, change comes because things get shaken up and things are disturbed, and life is not meant to be perfect, beautiful picture all the time. But with Mars in the picture as well, things can get a little forceful and a little bit more violent and contentious. So you do want to be careful of that energy this month, especially around career and relationships. Go forward a little bit more. There's a few other interesting transits that I really have my eye on. For example, around the 18th, you're going to see Venus get together with Saturn in your relationship house again. This is a make or break moment for relationships. It's either the deepening of a commitment or the termination of an agreement. It could really go either way. You have the planet of harmony and the planet of boundaries and separation. One planet likes to bring things together. The other one likes to divide and separate things. So that can mean coming to terms on an agreement in a relationship. It can be the relationship maturing and defining itself more, or it can mean, commitments and vows even, or it can mean the end, done. Termination of the agreement. I found someone else I'd like to, purchase a car from, or, make an agreement with. So potential for a pretty defining moment in relationships with Venus, Saturn. Also the themes of age, maturity, wisdom, and the goddess, elder women in our lives coming in pretty strong this month with Venus and Capricorn. Now, on the same day, on the 18th, right around that time, Chiron will also enter Aries and move into your career house for the next, better part of the next decade. That's the planet that is associated with healing and wounds and woundedness, moving into your career house to stay for a nice long period of time. You're going to be doing a deep healing, cleansing work in relation to your career for some time to come now. But the wisdom that you've accumulated through exploring your wounds may also be on display in your career, any time now, or it may also be that it's not as much of a healing process as it is presenting healing gifts that you have to give wisdom and knowledge and expertise, life knowledge and wisdom to others. So it's moving into your career house. It can either be expressing itself in your career, it can be talking about, it might be pointing to a healing journey that you're going to be going on in your relative to your career, your career house. So it can go either way, sometimes both, a little bit of both. So that's Chiron entering Aries on the 18th. Now, if you go to the 20th, you're going to see a full moon in Virgo. And the full moon in Virgo on the 19th, right around the 19th, it is landing in your third house, while Mercury and Neptune are in your ninth house, which is the house of higher beliefs, education, religion, long journeys, travel. Third house, the place of the mind, communication, siblings. There's a philosophical change happening here. Indication of maybe some confusion or uncertainty about your beliefs, spirituality, religion. Neptune and Mercury, a little bit of uncertainty. Also, non-ordinary states of consciousness might be emphasized. It's an interesting time to be reflecting on life and to be considering spiritual or philosophical matters, or to be engaging in learning something or even traveling. But it's definitely also a moment of approaching clarity about your beliefs and how they're affecting your life, and where you're obligated morally and spiritually to people, to the world, to yourself. There's something that's up for review here around the full moon. Finally, on the 22nd, the last big moment of the month is Venus's conjunction with Pluto, Lord of again, sort of death and rebirth in the house of relationships. It's a big transit to end the month. These are themes of really digging below the surface, getting to that deeper unconscious material in relationships, and possibly, it's another catharsis. It's another moment of healing wisdom that comes through ultimately. But there is a little bit, there's a little bit of heaviness around Venus Pluto. So, take care in your relationships, be patient and kind with one another. So that's what I've got for you this month, Cancer. I hope this was interesting. Leave your comments. Let me know how it goes. You can email me as well if you'd like to tell me any of your stories at nightlightastrology@gmail.com. And I will see you again for March's horoscope. Thank you so much and take care.